Sir, yes.
Okay. Just a moment.
Yes, sir, we can see
Okay.
it.
Okay. 1 second. Let me just go to the full screen mode. 1 second. Yeah.
So will you be sharing this recording with all?
Hello. Is there any question?
Now we saw the meeting getting recorded. So will you be sharing this recording?
That I think maybe the representatives from Kied may be able to answer that. Are you going to provide the Sharath? Are you going to provide the recording to the participants?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay,
We'll share the recording.
Okay, good. Okay, so I don't know whether maybe there may be some people who may not be knowing Malayalam. I think so, right? So I think it is better to be in English. Okay. So thank you. So first of all, let me express my sincere thankfulness to Kied for inviting me for delivering a talk on innovation and entrepreneurship program. So before getting into this talk, let me just give you a relevance of this particular topic, right? Because if you look at abroad, like especially in Europe, US and all, most of the prominent products are born from universities, right? Universities or academic institutions. And the community, the academic community, or the society gives a lot of value to this kind of product, and that product will become over a period of time, it accumulate a huge amount of wealth to the university. And it's not only restricted to that, it also become one of the prominent product in the society. Suppose if you look at some of the very prominent IT products like network routers, switches, and many things which are actually born from, including internet, which is actually born from universities or academic institutions. It is actually a culture, right? So, but unfortunately, if you look at the Indian context, we are not used to that culture, and we could not find, a very prominent product from Indian institutions which actually monopolized across the world. It is very less, or probably I can say it is actually the numbers is only probably a single digit or a 2-digit number. So there are few things, which we should actually understand. In every academic institutions, every year, for example, every universities or every engineering colleges or every arts and science colleges, they send their students for the project, and they carry out, a massive amount of effort, probably for 3 to 6 months, and some cases it will be probably for 3 to 1 year, at least for 1 year project. And end of the project, the students are expected to submit a working prototype in the department as part of their examination purpose, and sometimes they also submit a report to the university or the institute. Generally, 99% of the project, the life get over there, and the idea or that particular product still lies within the shelf of that particular campus, and it never come out of the light. So how to overcome these kind of problems, right? So the necessary steps or the precautionary measures should actually happen at the campus level, because a lot of academic projects have a lot of future and it have a lot of business potentials, but people are not in a position to realize when they are actually conceiving the project ideas, or when the students are actually executing it. Under these kind of circumstances, I think it is very important to sensitize the academic community, and it is also equally important to sensitize the student community about choosing of the project. And once you choose the project, you also have to identify whether your project really have an innovative component. If there is an innovative component, can we convert that innovative component into a intellectual property value, IPR, right? Intellectual property right or intellectual property value. Then, of course, once you own an intellectual property value, it is actually a revenue to you or your institute or the company which you are representing, so that you can sell it. That is going to be your future business. So now, before getting into the talk, let me just flash a figure to you. Can anybody identify who is this person in this forum? Any wild guess? Any guess? Nothing. No one. Okay. So this is none other than Thomas Alva Edison. Okay, and it's a very known popular figure for every one of us. He is known for what? Right? So I don't know how many of you really know that he owns 1093 US patents, and he owns 512 worldwide patents. So it means you just go to the Wikipedia and just go to the list of patents filed by Edison. If you look at you'll see that it's actually a table. Like first 100 patent, you have to click on this link. Second 100 this year, and 200 to 300, 300 to 400, and 1000 to 2000. So he has filed more than 1100 patents during his lifespan, and he is known as one of the biggest, maybe a veteran in the field of inventions, right? Now, everywhere, if you look at the different patents filed by Thomas Alva Edison, most of the things are related to our daily usage related things. So now let me define the term. What do you mean by invention? Okay. So the invention is nothing but it's actually a practical implementation of an idea, right? That results in introduction of a new goods or service. Okay, it's actually a definition given by ISO 9000. Sorry, ISO 56000. Now, if you carefully go through this particular definition, if you have a good idea, right, and this idea may be related to a new good. So when you say about a goods, it is actually a tangible object, like you can touch, you can feel, and you will see the presence of it. Or it can even be a service, right? As an idea which provides a better service to a particular sector, that is also patentable. That is also an innovation, right? So, but it should be something new, right? That's what it's talk about innovation. So basically, in a nutshell, I can say turning an idea into a solution that add value to a customer perspective. That's what we generally called innovation, right? Maybe your idea may be totally new, but which probably it may not be having a business value at this point. Then your innovation doesn't capture, or your innovation may not be able to yield money or cannot be converted into a business potential, right? But how do we conclude that whether my innovation is really having a business value or not? It is actually a big question for, in the field of inventions. There are a few examples which probably I can quote during my discussion. Definitely there is a term, or there is a difference between innovation versus discovery, right? So innovation refers actually creation of a new product or a process. Now these two figures I purposefully kept because these are the two ends of innovation. Because for example, mobile phone, it's actually a new goods, right? New product has developed, which is actually a tangible project or a product which people can feel, touch, and you can actually identify it, right? So it's actually an innovation which made a big cultural changes in the human being. Now you look at the other one. What you're seeing here is a glass with a straw, right? So earlier, initially we were having a straw which is actually in a straight format. But some point, somebody introduced a bend here so that it become more convenient for somebody to, have the juice, because you can sit on a table without even standing up, probably keeping the glass in the table itself. You just bend the straw and you can have it. I don't know how many of you know that the straw is patented. this bend straw is patented, and it is patented by a Panasonic engineer. Okay. And of course, Panasonic is not a straw manufacturing company. It's actually a leading electronic manufacturing company, right? But here, the message which I wanted to tell is, everybody thinks that if somebody is filing a patent, people have a perception that, oh, he's a big scientist, or like a, you know, maybe Thomas Alva Edison or an Isaac Newton or something like that. So only such kind of people can file patent. I think, first of all, we should come out of that feeling. Okay. So for invention, or for inventing something or filing a patent, you may not even require a basic schooling, a school education also. It's all about your innovative mindset. That's why I just thought of bringing two extreme cases of innovation and patent, right? So this is on the other extreme side, because even if you very closely look at, there is nothing great in this, but somebody got the idea, and it was a Panasonic engineer, and he got the patent for this. Now, there is a difference between innovation and discovery. Now, every innovation is not patentable. Okay, that's what I'm just telling. So there is a difference between innovation and discovery. So discovery refers some of the things, you know, which is already exist, but it is not perceived earlier. So whether you invent it or not, it is already existed phenomenon in the universe. So whether but only matter is, nobody perceived it earlier, and nobody invented it earlier, nobody discovered it earlier, or nobody perceived it earlier. That is why that idea become, maybe it may be in the dark. So the best example is that gravitational force, right? Whether Newton invented or not, gravitational force exist even before invention of the gravitational force by Newton. Sorry, discovered by Newton, right? Because no apple were going upward before discovering gravitational force. It was still existing. So it means there are some of the criteria, there are some of the findings which categorized under the category of discovery. Those things are known as physical phenomena which already exist, but it was not perceived. And inventions are something which is totally new, means which was never exist, and it is totally formulated in a new way. So it can be a goods or it can be a service, right? So now, when somebody find a innovative idea, the first and foremost thing what we have to do is, we should file a patent for that. That's where I just wanted to sensitize the people who are present in this forum. Like, how do we do it? Or how do we analyze that whether my idea is really patentable or not? Of course, I cannot take a complete cross-section of the industrial world where it involved mechanical manufacturing, chemical and health related item manufacturing, IT related goods manufacturing, and there are a lot of sectors across the globe. So we may not be able to cover everything in large, but there are few standard methodologies, or there are few designated platforms available to actually check whether your invention is patentable or not. Right now, let me give a small recap on what do you mean by patent. So patent is nothing but it's an intellectual property right that gives owner the legal right to exclude others from making, using, or selling an invention for a limited period of time in exchange of publishing and enabling a disclosure of invention. I think it's a very well thought written sentence. And this is a standard definition of patent which is accepted across the globe. And every word have its own meaning in this. Now you invent something and you get the ownership of, you get the legal right, okay, so that legal right will exclude others for making the similar thing or using your component or selling your component for a limited period. Now what you wanted to do, suppose you invent a particular thing. If I wanted to use that particular thing, or if I wanted to manufacture it, or I wanted to use that particular component for some of the systems, because your entire invention you may not have patented. You will be having a very small piece of an invention. So just for example, mobile phone invented someone. Cellular phone was actually invented someone. Touch screen was invented some other people. And within the touch screen itself, multi-touching feature was invented by someone, some other people. Okay, because touch screen was a single, initially when touch screen was invented, it was having only a single touch capability. Then the multi-touch capability was introduced. That is where the mobile phone actually become more useful, user-friendly after introduction of the multi-touch capability. And multi-touch capability was invented by a Sony chair professor Ricky Moto. He's from Tokyo University. So, but if you look at the three inventions are at different places. Now, Samsung is going to make a mobile phone, and he must be using the cellular network properties which was invented by someone else, and he must be using the touch screen invented by someone else. He must be using the multi-touch capability of a touch screen invented by someone else. Now, Samsung is liable to pay royalty to all three or all 100 inventors who invented the different components of your mobile phone. Now, if they are not doing it, it will taken into the court, and there will be a patent war with respect to your invention and the company who actually tried to manufacture, try to make, or try to use, or try to sell the product. Now, your legal right lies for a particular period of time. That depends on the country's patent law. So normally across the globe, I think somebody raised a hand. Any question? If there is a question, probably you can ask. Otherwise, I think I assume that by mistake it happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question then?
Yeah, please.
Should I wait for your presenting well? Should I wait for your complete presentation, or should I interrupt?
If it is something very, very serious, or if you wanted to specifically intervene, probably you can ask.
No, I don't think. I think you are presenting well. I don't want to disturb your way of thought. You are presenting very well. So I don't want to disturb you.
Okay, then I think let us take it. Suppose if there is a very specific doubt which you cannot take it further, then probably you can ask the question.
I'm noting down the things here in my book. Then I can ask at the end of the conversation.
Fine, sir. Fine. Okay. Then it is actually logged for a limited period of time. So limited period of time means, suppose you invent something, it doesn't mean that you get the royalty for your invention for your lifetime. It is nothing like that. It is only for a designated period of time. So designated period of time, generally it varies from 20 to 25 years across the globe. Okay. So so now what makes you to think more intelligently in this period? Suppose you invent something, you patent it. So it is your responsibility to link with an industry within the period of 25 years to earn more profit out of it, or to earn more royalty out of it. Now, somebody file a patent and just consider it as an ornament and say that I have a patent. I'm really sorry, it doesn't yield any value to you. Okay, probably maybe an academician, when he make a CV, he can say that I own 100 patent, or 5 patent, or 10 patent, or something. So your objective is you have to productize it, and you have to work hard to sell your patent, or to insist a company to adopt this particular patent to make use of as part of their product or a solution. That is where your meaning of the patent will be completed. Now, when I say this limited period of time, it means there are few inventions which invented much ahead of time. There are few inventions invented much ahead of time. The term I used, much ahead of time, is very important. The reason is, we all know that the computer mouse invented by the Thomas Douglas, he invented this mouse even before invention of a GUI based system. Okay. So what do you mean by GUI based system? Because the people who work in the computer field, they know that the earlier when we were working with a computer system, we were having DOS based systems. It is a character user interface. You are not using mouse.
Graphical user interface.
Right? Yeah, graphical. Now, these character user interface systems, you are only typing characters through, so you'll be typing a command and executing, that's it. But when we move to a graphical user interface system, that is where we all started using mouse. And surprisingly, the mouse was invented much before invention of the GUI based, so-called GUI based environment. So what went wrong with that particular invention is he invented the mouse, the potentiometer based, classical potentiometer based mouse systems much before GUI based system. When GUI based system actually come into market, the patent right of mouse was expired. So then you just imagine how many number of pieces of mouse might have already sold by the computer companies, computer manufacturing companies in the world. So if he get a 1 penny out of one mouse, he would have been probably he might have, he might be he might be the top in the millionaire list, probably, replacing the rank of Bill Gates or someone like that. That many number of mouse has been already manufactured by the world right now. But the problem is, unfortunately, his patent right, so that locking period of 20-25 years was expired by the time the actually mouse come into the industrial product. So these are some examples of some of the inventions were invented much ahead of time, right? Either the invention should have been happened, it should have, he could have waited little more time to invent that thing, then he would have become a millionaire by the time, right? So he usually considered as a unlucky inventor in that category. So, and there are few people, because I'm seeing different pros and cons of patenting. Of course, there are a lot of good things and there are a lot of cons related to patenting also. For example, there are few inventions. For example, generally, we used to say Röntgen invented X-ray, right? And we all are able to get the X-ray for probably 75 rupees to 150 rupees or 200 rupees. So one X-ray cost 200 rupees, which even include the profit of that particular hospital. It was only possible because Röntgen did not patented the X-ray. Instead of that, what he did is he published as a paper and it made a open knowledge to the community. So anybody can take it and anybody can, productize it. That is where the X-ray become very cheap. But if you look at some of the, medical interventions, which even include CT scan, PET scan, right? This cost, 10,000, 20,000 or 30,000 rupees to do a particular scanning operation, scanning related things. So it is not only about the cost of the device. It is also about, when that particular machine is being manufactured, a huge amount of royalty should be shared with the actual patent owners. And this is even true in case of some of the medicines. Ideally speaking, we all know that our paracetamol manufacturing cost, it is probably 2 paise or 3 paise per tablet, right? But now, fortunately, the patent right of paracetamol is already expired. That is why the paracetamol tablets are available for 1 rupee or 50 paise or something across the globe. But there are few medicines, maybe some of the deadly diseases. You have to, actual manufacturing cost of that particular device might be very less. Sorry, that particular medicine might be very less. So, but you may have to pay, 50,000 or 1 lakh or 50 lakhs. I think recently there was a news which was spreading across even this thing, 18 crore rupees for an injection for a muscular dystrophy related diseases, right? So is it something like that? The 18 crore is the amount required to manufacture that medicine? Definitely no. It's actually a royalty to the company who actually invented that particular medicine, right? So the essence is all about the patenting have patenting will definitely have a pros and cons. That's what I just wanted to sensitize the audience who are present here. Now there are two things: innovation and patent. So I would see the innovation and patent is a a paired lock. It should go hand in hand, right? It cannot, suppose, according to me, if it is an innovation, you should definitely go for patent, because you should not, you should not just leave it, because it's not fair to leave it, because you might be losing a big revenue. Now, suppose your intention is something different, because I wanted to be a person like Ronjan, right? Ronjan, he invented X-ray, but he made it public. But still you have a provision. You invent it, you hire a patent, and you say that I don't want money. That is still better, because otherwise, the current world, the way things are happening is, almost all companies, all technology related companies, they are filing thousands of patents per day. For example, Google and some of the Chinese companies, and China is the most filed, the rapid filing organization in the, the country in the world. They file thousands of patents in a day across the globe. So anything and everything you invent, the legal right will automatically go to them. So what will happen is, it may be a common general phenomena or a general thing which you also might be knowing, but they invented it and they patented it. So even if you manufacture it in your own country, if they came to know that you are making a profit out of it, they can file a case, because government of India has signed a WTO agreement, and it's a open world now, open market now, right? So after signing the WTO agreement and everything, all patent rights become, we started sharing our IP across the globe. So you file a patent in India, that is even applicable across the other countries as well. Now, let me introduce another term, the another side, because so far we have been discussing about the innovation. What do you mean by innovation? What do you mean by patent? And there is another keyword, the very popular keyword, like entrepreneurship. What do you mean by entrepreneurship? So entrepreneurship, if you look at the definition, the standard definition of entrepreneurship is, it's actually creation or extraction of an economic value. That's what the entrepreneurship all about, right? So anything and everything you do, if you are able to extract, or if you are able to create an economic value out of it, then that can be considered as a entrepreneurship. So, and you coin with another term, it's called business. Right? So, and your intention is always to hope a profit out of it, right? Now, if you look at the two definitions, like your innovation, right? The innovation basically it's talk about an idea, a good, which will have a customer perspective value. And entrepreneurship talk about extraction of a economic value, right? So if customer perspective value is there for something, then definitely you can extract an economic value out of it, because there are customers who might be looking for this. So that's the reason we should say that this entrepreneurship and innovation should actually go hand in hand, right? So if you consider entrepreneurship as a vehicle, of course, it have many components, but the fuel for any entrepreneurship or any business unit is basically innovation and the IPR value associated with that particular company. You might be seeing the acquisition of various IT companies, right? Yeah, company X acquire company Y. Now, when a acquisition happens by one company by another company, for example, one of the few very interesting acquisition happened is WhatsApp was acquired by Meta, means Facebook, right? Facebook, and after that they formed a major company. So actually, initially WhatsApp was a separate entity. Now, is it not something like that? Facebook cannot make a software exactly similar to WhatsApp. It is not like that, because if Facebook make a software exactly like WhatsApp, then Facebook has to pay a royalty to WhatsApp for doing such kind of operations. So, or because it is registered under a Copyright Act, so you cannot actually replicate just like that. So then what you have to do, you are using a process, you are using a service actually, that is actually a service, right? So the service, the way of delivering the service need to be replicated. So for that, the best way they found is they accumulated that. Now, what is the value of a WhatsApp actually? the physical value of a WhatsApp is maybe probably they'll be having a few offices with a few servers. Rest all are the intellectual property value registered, right? That's what I'm telling, the IPR values or the intellectual property values. So your intellectual property values are registered and that is where you paid. And now for any entrepreneurship to move or the proceed to run further, like the way you need a fuel for running your car, to any entrepreneurship you wanted to run, I think you should look at these two components in a very serious way. Because we know that everybody is starting startup, but hardly few startups are getting succeeded. Because most of the startups probably, they might be having a website design, or they might be having something, something similar to that. And they struggle a lot because they don't really have a IP value. And they become something like a coolie job, right? Where whenever you get a particular call, you work for that. Whenever you don't have a call, you may not be able to earn money. Now, what is the beauty of a IPR or a innovative component involved as part of your entrepreneurship? What will happen is, even if you don't work, if your innovation is copied by someone, or if your innovation is used by someone, still you will be able to generate the money. That is the beauty of, innovation and IPR, if it is owned by a startup company. Now, what is the point which I wanted to emphasize here? I'm sure that there will be few entrepreneurs here. There will be few academicians who might be attending here, and there will be few students who might be attending this show. So if you belong to any of this category, I think it is commonly applicable to everyone. If you are getting into an entrepreneurship, try to search for a good IPR value related to your product. Now, suppose everybody may not be having it. So probably what you can do is, if you are already owning a startup, and it is my earnest appeal, you go to colleges, you check with some of the students, identify whether they have a patentable valued product available with them, and try to file a patent and bring them as part of your company, right? So because the student himself, he may not be having a drive to do a company, or he may not be having a specific interest to take care of a lot of administrative and other, management related formalities with respect to a company, because he is an inventor. So try to make such kind of people as part of your company, because running a company doesn't mean that it's only management. Management is one of the vital part, definitely required, but equally you need a innovation or the intellectual property values with respect to your company. Otherwise, you may not be able to sustain in a long run. Now, what are the various intellectual property rights? In India, there are these 7 different categories of intellectual property rights. So it starts from copyright, trademark, patent, geographical indicators, plant varieties, industrial design, and semiconductor and integrated layout design. These are the 7 items people can register your intellectual property values or intellectual property rights. And each one is equal in terms of importance, because it doesn't mean that you file a copyright that is not equivalent to patent. Copyright is equivalent to your patent. Trademark is equivalent to your patent. GIS is equivalent to your patent. Okay. Now we can actually see what makes these different things. So the first thing is probably, the copyright. What is this copyright? So the copyright is generally, sometimes we used to say some of the things like some film, right? Film, or, sometimes music, right? Maybe some musical items. So these are the few things, it directly comes under copyright. But as per the Indian patent law, you create a program, you write a computer program, okay? This program is actually comes under the Copyright Act, okay? Because as per Indian patent law, a computer program is considered as something similar to a poet write a poem, right? A poet write a poem, or a novelist write a novel. Okay, because these two have the same meaning. So now what you wanted to do, what we have to do is, suppose you have invented a particular software element, and you feel that this particular element is having lot of importance, and definitely it might be some code segment, right? So you'll be having some code segment here. Now this code segment, you can actually register a copyright with Indian Patent Office. Okay, so when you register this particular code segment, then now if this code segment is being used by any other software for doing this particular functionality, and if he is making a profit out of it and you are not getting the share of it, then you can approach court so that this company is liable to make the payment to you. Okay, so it is very important to sensitize our academic community and students to register a copyright if they write a piece of code, provided if they feel that have a value, right? And the second thing is trademark. Trademark, I don't think so I have to explain, because it is a known things to everyone. For example, there are some of the brand mark or trademark. If you look at it, talk everything, right? You don't need to explain, further on that. There are few trademarks in that category, right? We know that because some of the food chain things like KFC, right? KFC, McDonald, right? McDonald, and some of the trademarks of some of the companies, right? Some of the electronic manufacturing companies, for example, HP, the way they HP write, right? So they write, they like something like this. So somebody cannot copy this kind of logo, right? So this trademark is registered. Now, why you are registering this trademark? This cannot be used by anyone else then. Now, sometimes you might be seeing that when some companies are getting acquired only to get this particular trademark. Okay, only to get the trademark. Okay, so I still remember one small incident, in Bangalore. There was a hotel called Mass. Okay, so it is a hotel near to that Madivada area, Mass, and it was a very popular hotel for delivering Kerala food, and there will be a lot of people who will be waiting there for that. And that owner of that hotel, they sold it, and they paid lakhs of rupees. They got lakhs of rupees for selling only that brand Mass. It is only because if a new person occupy that same space, he cannot keep the same board. He has to keep a different board because this was registered, I think, and they paid a huge royalty for that. No, it's actually one instance I'm telling, because there are a lot of such instances. Probably somebody can actually point something related to the trademark. Okay, so it's a known thing. Patent, I already told. Patent is all related to inventions. Now there are few things related to geographical indications. Now, what do you mean by geographical indications? So geographical indications means there are few items. I think somebody raised the hand. Yes.
Yeah, hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please.
So I just wanted to know about the company name, or including the domain name. So
okay,
it comes under the trademark or what?
Yes, because the domain name, when you register, you will not get another domain name, definitely, right? You will not get it because domain name is like that. Have you got it? When you register a domain name, for example, I think that is a very common practice. What is, somebody will foresee some of the domain name in future and they just register it. Now you can see that, suppose if you try to register a particular, suppose you wanted to register a domain name, you go to a domain name registration service and you find that domain is not available, but you simply search the name, you go to their website, they might be probably telling that this domain name is on sale. But it is not a trademark registration. It is actually, I should say that it is another bargain, because they purchase that domain name and keep it as part of that. And they are anticipating that somebody will probably ask for that domain name in future. So they will sell it. Okay. So next, the geographical indicator. Now, what do you mean by these geographical indications? So the geographical indications are, there are few items which have a direct link with the geography of that particular place. Okay. Now, there are few items. For example, in Kerala, I think we all know that, the Vechur Pashu, Vechur cow, right? So Vechur cow it's actually a geographical indicator actually. And Kasturi Manjal, right? These all are having some geographical indicators values. And I think some 5 to 6 years back, there was a news, our Kasturi Manjal patent was filed by some American. And there was a fight happened, and finally, I think it got back to India, because it is actually comes under a geographical indications, because it is actually a geographical property of that. And maybe some well-known examples are, a well-known wine, tequila, right? Tequila is actually a company, a place name in Mexico, North America, right? So in Mexico, I think. So this tequila wine somebody cannot make a wine and cannot name as with tequila, because that is having a geographical indication, because that particular wine is manufactured in that place called tequila. So there are a lot such kind of categories under that category, geographical indicators. So that particular item having a tight coupling with the geographical locations. Plant varieties is also something similar to that, right? Now, if somebody invent a particular plant, of course, we do a lot of crossbreeding, some BT brinjal and something of that kind. So that kind of things can also be patented. Industrial design, right? Industrial design means you design a particular, for example, Maruti is coming up with a car design, something like this, right? And maybe some other company is coming a car design, something like this, right? So some company cannot copy this particular design. If this design, the way the car outer look like is copied by some other car manufacturing company X, which is actually designed by Y, it is actually infringement in their IPR property. So there are a lot of design can be patented. So design need not be restricted to the outer look. It can even be a machine, a kind of manufacturing of a particular manufacturing machine. It can be, there are a lot of mechanical companies who make design for, the grains processing. Grains processing means pulses processing. And, and there are some manufacturing companies who do a lot of designs for, processing the agricultural products. So all such designs can also be patented as per Indian law, or patented in the sense IPR can be registered under Indian law. And there is a separate category for semiconductor and integrated layout designs. So that it also comes under that. So broadly speaking, all these 7 categories carry the same meaning of patent. Even though we know that patent is the only one thing which we commonly knows, or trademark is the one thing which we commonly knows, but the relevance of these things are same across, across these inventions or across these kind of interventions. Now, what is patentable in Indian law? So according to the section K of Indian Patent Act, it says that mathematical and business methods and computer programs per se are not patentable. Okay. So you invent a mathematical algorithm. For example, there are a lot of problem statement which are mathematically cannot find a solution. Now you are able to find a solution for a mathematical problem. For example, a Euler graph problem or an NP complex problem, right? NP hard, NP complex kind of problems. So you find a mathematical model for that. You cannot patent as per Indian law. Okay, you cannot. And if you find a good business model, that also cannot be patented, right? But that probably for that you can actually register, either a copyright. I don't know. I'm not sure whether it will really comes under the Copyright Act. Probably I have to check. Okay. Now then, we are talking about ICT patents, right? Then how a patent can be registered in IT or computer science field? Now, one of the things generally what people does is you implement an algorithm, right? You implement an algorithm and port it on a board, right? Port it on an electronic board and convert it into a separate working device. Okay, then that is patentable. Okay, so it means you invent an algorithm, you make an algorithm, maybe your algorithm, maybe your, one of the important thing. Then you invent an algorithm. That algorithm you implement not on a general purpose computer board, it's on a dedicated device board. Then the idea can be patented. That idea can be considered as patented. That's the way most of the ICT ideas are patented across the country, right? So for that, how do we get into such kind of things? Or who will help you to do that? These are the few things probably I will be throwing few lights. What is the typical steps in patent filing? Suppose you feel that you have find a method to solve a problem, and you find that that particular problem is patentable, right? Maybe you might be a student who might be doing a project, and you might be a startup company person who got an idea, and you see that it is having a worth of filing a patent. Then the first thing what you have to do is you have to perform a prior art search. Now, where to do this prior art search? Earlier, conducting prior art search was very difficult. It was not so easy. But now, fortunately, we have a Google patent. Okay, Google patent. Go to Google patent and you can conduct a patent search there. But beware that if you are doing a if you are doing a prior art search in a Google patent, you should complete your patenting process within very short period of time. Otherwise, this data may used by Google and they may file a patent if it is really patentable. Okay, so how to overcome such kind of things? Because Google have an automated machine, whatever the search engine, how Google do lot of IPR value across the globe, because they file patent, every day they file thousands of patents across the globe. How is it possible? Because you all search in the internet using the single tool called Google. So don't think that your search is not monitored by Google search engine. Your every search is monitored. Your every search is analyzed properly. Even though you might be doing a simple search, for example, I wanted to shift a building from one place to another place. Is it possible? That may be your search. It look very wild. It look very mad. Okay, maybe Google may not give an answer, but there will be few algorithms will be working, and they find if some searches are really awkward or not in the general search category. There are engineers who evaluate the credibility of that particular thing, and they may probably file a patent for shifting a building from one place to another place. That is the reason actually Google even have a patent for destroying mosquitoes. Recently, I think you might have heard about it, right? So they invented a method. What they did is they invented some, impotent male mosquitoes, right? And they spread across they just male mosquitoes, and that just spread across the environment. And the female get mated with that, but it will not lay egg. And since the lifespan of these female mosquitoes are very less, they get into the mating, but no one will lay the egg, and that mosquitoes will die. So over a period of time, these infertile mosquitoes will create lot of infertile female to the environment, and the mosquitoes can actually die over a period of time. Okay, but Google is actually a tech company. It is actually an ICT company, but they have methods in that kind of things as well. So the reason I'm telling is, you should never restrict your patentability idea within the boundary of ICT or within the boundary of mechanical engineering or within the boundary of bioscience or something. Okay, so it is equally important, because that is the best example is the first person I talked, Thomas Alva Edison. He have patent in all sectors. right? He is not something like, he filed a patent only in the area of electrical related things. He have patent in across the things. So now basically what I'm telling is you have to perform a prior art search. So prior art search, the best thing is there are few prior art search tools. Maybe one is in EPO, European Patent Search. They generally don't get into stealing of ideas and all. It is actually monitored by European Union. And you can also do a USPTO, US patent search, this thing. And Google, if you do it, it is at your risk. You can probably do it. And it will identify all the inventions related to your areas. And you have to read each one of the inventions and you have to find out whether your inventions keep unique from that invention. If you feel that, then probably you can do that. Now, if you are not a trained engineer or a trained person to do a prior art search, you can probably offload that responsibility to government. Because now, after realizing the patentability values, Government of India set up few unit. One is ICT IPR, which is actually a unit set up in Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MEITY, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So it comes under the site ict.ipr, ict-ipr.in. So you go to that website and there are few registration forms which you have to complete, and you write a small write-up in a normal Word file and send it to them. Okay. Then their engineers will analyze and they will get back to you whether idea is actually patentable or not. If it is not patentable, they will give you a remarks. Why is it not patentable? Because it is already invented by, invention 1, invention 2, and invention 3. It is like a lab report. And there is also an agency known as TIFAC. They also do the similar kind of services. And please note that the service is totally free of cost. Now, why government is providing free of cost service to the citizen? Because government realized the value of IPR, because government want an Indian citizen to file an Indian patent, because otherwise what will happen? If a particular invention which you find is filed by a Chinese citizen or a US citizen, the business value will go to their country. It will not be lies with us. We will only become a user, or we will only become a consumer to that particular technology. Already India is labeled as a consumer country rather than an invention oriented country, right? We are the biggest consumers for across the globe, right? So we have to change the trend, right? So we should motivate our youngsters and college going students to file more patents as part of our country's wealth. Now, if an idea, once after doing this prior art search, if you feel that your idea is really patentable, there are two ways to file a patent. Either you can actually approach a patent attorney. Okay. These patent attorneys will help you to draft the patent claim. So please understand that there are two aspects in a patent. One is a technology aspects. Another one is a legal aspects. So being a layman, you may not be able to understand the legal aspects of many things, because there is a way to write a particular thing. Now, suppose if we wanted to file a case in court, we usually take help of an advocate. But Indian laws actually permit you to directly go to court and represent your case. There is a possibility. We can do that. But hardly few people utilize that particular thing. The problem is we really don't know how to draft a legal document. Okay, you know how to write a technical document, but you don't know how to write a legal document. But it is not very hard. If you learn few document and if you can actually draft your legal document, then you can actually file an Indian patent and you can completely get it either granted or rejected within somewhere around some 4,000 to 5,000 rupees. That is the only amount which is required for filing a patent and completing the process as an individual. Okay, but if you really don't know how to draft it, then probably you have to take a help of a patent attorney. It's nothing but an advocate. Advocate in a sense, he deals with only the technical matters. He's not like a civil advocate or a criminal advocate or something. He's a patent attorney, patent lawyer. So he will draft the entire things for you. Nowadays, according to my experience, a patent filing roughly charge some 10 to 20,000 rupees by an attorney. 10 to 20,000 rupees by an attorney. Okay. Some attorneys charge more than 50,000 or something, but they ensure that your patent will be granted because they put their own engineers to refine your ideas. And so this whether you pay 5,000 rupees to an attorney or 1 lakh rupees to an attorney, it all depends on the kind of service you get from him. Right? So it is even applicable in our normal court cases because you hire a high-paid lawyer, probably winning of that chance of getting that particular case, accepted by the court may be high. The same thing is applicable here as well. And sometimes what you can do is, if you don't have money to spend this much, you can probably seek support from Kerala government. Even Kerala government support for filing patent. And if you are a student in university, nowadays every university and colleges have a proper patent filing unit. So being a student, you get all privilege to get your total money totally charged by, totally will be borne by the university or institute. And if you are a entrepreneur, probably you can approach startup mission kind of agencies to get support for filing your patent. Now, what is the first step in filing a patent? The first step is, once you feel that your idea is patentable, we will file a provisional patent first. What do you mean by provisional patent? Because your invention is not complete. You are still have some more things to do, but you cannot wait for that to completely file the specification. But you know what is the vague idea of your invention. Then don't wait further, immediately go and file a provisional patent. So that what you can do is, within 1 year, you can file the complete specification. Now, if you are not filing the complete specification within 1 year, your provisional patent, whatever you have filed, it will become void. Now, what is the advantage of filing a provisional patent? Now, for example, maybe recently one of the pandemic situation created these kind of scenarios in the world because COVID created, a lot of companies filed patent for vaccine. Right? So what they do, they cannot wait for complete vaccine to be filed because a complete approved vaccine is actually a big process. But they have a very vague idea, probably they will file a patent. Now, once they file a provisional patent, then within 1 year, they can actually completely specify what they are going to do within this one. Now, after filing a complete specification, Government of India will publish this particular thing in the Indian Patent Journal. This generally happens after 1.5 years. After filing your provisional patent or completion of your complete specification, then immediately after 6 months or immediately, basically the way your actual claim starts from the date you file your provisional patent, and you can even go for a complete specification in the beginning itself. There is nothing wrong. So even if you file a complete specification, it is always advisable to file a provisional patent in the beginning, and you mention the complete specification after one. That is the best practice, because if you file a complete specification in the beginning itself, then your amendment you have to pay a separate cost. So it is always better to pay a provisional patent first, then file a complete specification within 1 year. Even if you have no further addition, you file it as a complete specification after 1 year. Then within another 6 months, it will go to Indian Patent Journal. They will publish this thing as part of their website. Then what this publication does, when somebody publishes, there are a lot of companies who appoint so many patent engineers. They search in the world leading patent journals, and they find, is there any patent filed by anyone, probably which was already filed by the company, or it is totally new. Then what they do is, if they feel that you have filed a patent, but it is actually a patent filed by someone else, then they will file an objection in the patent office, that stating that this patent should not be granted because there is a patent which is filed by me, right? And you cannot grant a patent on it. But this kind of things happens very less in the beginning, but it happens for some of the things, because if Sony file a patent, Google will be looking, and if Panasonic file a patent, Sony might be looking. So they may not be interested to file patent filed by a general public. But later, if they find that your patent awarded to you is actually a patent filed by them, then it is going to be a big case in the court. Okay, so you have to appoint again an attorney to protect your right, or you have to give up. So that patent will be, your patent right will be lost and it will be taken over by them. But generally, when this patent war happened, the big companies will not get into a legal war. They will settle or they will negotiate with the individual inventor and they buy the patent. That's the way generally it happens. Now, after 18 months, within 4 years, you have to file a request for examination. So request for examination is a process where Government of India will appoint a counselor to examine your patent. It is actually a judge. That patent counselor or patent examiner is actually something like a judge who is going to sit and study your invention filed by an attorney or by yourself. Then he will have some of his own examination report. Then his examination report will be given to you. Then that generally in 90% of cases, they will have so many objections when an examination is over. Then every objection, you have to give clarification. Okay, every objection you have to give clarification. Like he may say that your invention number 1, it is actually patented in something. Then you have to read that particular patent document and you have to object it that no, this particular invention is something different. My invention is different. There is nothing related to this. So it cannot be agreed. It cannot be agreed. It cannot be agreed. Like that, you are going to say something. So maybe you might be already claimed some 8 arguments in your patent, but 3 maybe you may have to drop and you may remaining 4 you can carry forward. Then that objection report you have to submit. Then after that, this objection report, after request for examination, that rectification file, then the next process is they will call for a personal interview with you. It means it is actually a hearing. We call it hearing. So they will call for a hearing or they may grant the patent. Now, if hearing happens, there will be a patent counselor. He's actually a judge kind of person. I already told it's actually an equivalent to a judge. So he will set up a video conferencing with you, with your attorney, or you can represent your case as an individual. Then there will be a argument that he will say that your patent is already filed by someone else, right? Because that your request for examination report was already given to you earlier. Then he wanted to listen from you. But it is very rare, sometimes they call for hearing, but sometimes it will not go for hearing. Either it will grant the patent after the examination process is over, or they may reject. Now, if it is rejected, you all have a provision to go to appeal. You can go to, you can actually make a, representation to the higher level in the Indian Patent Office, and they will finally dispose that matter, whether it is the idea is actually patentable or not. Right? But don't think that it is a very Herculean task for you people, because if you take the support from a government agency, okay, then this rest all process is black box to you. You don't need to do anything related to that. It will automatically happen. Okay, means they will do all the job. You just need to track what is the status of your application. That's it. It is just like you empanel an advocate for representing your court in the case. Right? Now, what are the different patent facilitation centers? That's what one thing I told. Scheme for facilitating startup intellectual property protection, SIP, is a central government scheme, and ICT IPR of MIT. These are the 2 popular schemes of Government of India. Probably, I think any one of you can utilize this facility.
Can I?
Yeah, please.
Okay, my question is, how much does it cost for professional patent? That's one question. Second question.
So suppose provisional patent, if you yourself is filing a patent and yourself is drafting something, I think that fees is around 1,500 to 2,000, I think.
That's all. Oh.
That's all. Provided if you know everything.
Okay. The second question is, will the government, suppose government is helping, will the government sign an NDA? Because once you give to the government, it is a public body.
No, actually, government is only supporting you. That's it. Your patent owner is you, not government.
Actually, government consists of many people employed there. They can also steal your idea, correct?
No, they okay.
Suppose I'll tell you my experience. I gave an idea to CSIR laboratory, DSIR, And then what happened is the stealing took place. And then after 2-3 years, one scientist from CSI came out with the idea. So
they filed a patent. They filed a patent on that.
No, they filed. That guy did not file a patent, but then he exploited the situation. He made money out of it. It is really my idea.
Okay. So these kind of things are very common because sometimes what happens is maybe we will share a very vague idea to someone and they will take it further and they'll do it. Suppose, but still these are valid provided you can even suppose if he has gone for a patent and if you have a proof that it was your idea and either through an email communication which you have shared with him or a proper document which was shared with him, if you have a proof for that, you can still represent your compliance in the court. There is a provision.
No, it happened about 5-6 years back. I also forgot in that after this COVID, Corona came, I just forgot about it.
Okay. No, but these things are very common. But actually, this generally, according to my experience, is ICT IPR mighty. They do a good service generally. Okay, because I did a lot of my patents and some of the inventions and some of the things which I have made use of these people's service. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So now what I'm going to talk in general, like innovation, entrepreneurship, basically, innovation and entrepreneurship, this is an ecosystem, right? What are the stakeholders of these ecosystems? You definitely will have government and public entities. You have startup and MSMEs. You have corporations supporting business partners, academia, investors. So basically, the innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystems is actually having multiple stakeholders. Why the reason I brought this particular this ecosystem picture to you is, as an individual, you might be finding a innovation. For example, you are a person from an academia. Now, once you invent and once you registered a patent through a government or a public entities, there may be some startup or MSMEs who may probably take up your ideas and they can make business out of it. There may be big corporations and there may be some investors. Okay, because there will be few people, they will be having a lot of money. They wanted to invest in some business. So if you wanted to invest in some business, they will look for an innovative idea or an innovative, an idea which will have a business value. But how do you ensure that an idea is having a business value? That is proven through getting a patent, right? If you have an idea which is actually patented, then it proved that it have a value. Now it is up to the investor or up to an MSME startups or up to a business organization to evaluate it whether it is really having a potential to encash the money from the world. There are different funding support schemes. For example, suppose you file a patent. Now, how do you get into that? But this is more applicable to an academic institution or a college. For example, if you belongs to an academic institution or if you belongs to a college, you have a provision to do a grant in aid project. So grant in aid project is actually given by government and you can send a proposal to the government, they will give you the fund. But the condition is you cannot make profit. You are not supposed to make a profit out of it. And the money can be utilized only against the expenditure of the project. You cannot generate any profit or you cannot take any money to your own way, right? Suppose you appoint a person, you can pay salary. You buy something, you can take the money out of it, because grant in aid project is you are not even supposed to earn a interest out of revenue for a grant in aid project which is supported by a government. If an interest is accumulated, that interest for that project money should be paid back to the government. That's what so generally grant in aid project will be given to an academic institution or a research institution for teachers or a PhD student or a professor or a teacher or some scientist in the research lab. The another category is contract research. What contract research does is, if there is a company and they have a burning problem, probably you can sign an MOU with them and you sign an agreement with them for solving their problem. That's what we call contract research. But generally, contract research terms and conditions are slightly rigid because it involves a huge penalty. Suppose if you are not doing it, probably there will be a penalty associated with from the company. But grant and aid projects are generally given for research. The penalty clauses are generally less. The another one is startup grants. Suppose if somebody is passed out from the college or they wanted to start up something, and startup grants are very common because I don't think so I have to explain because it's a known things to everyone and government is giving too much importance for that nowadays. And who are the popular agencies who generally support grant and aid? There are agencies like MIT, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, DST, Department of Biotechnology, CSIR provides sometimes, and Principal Scientific Advisor of Government of India, PSA office. They all provide support for as a grant in aid project. And there are some projects which works in a bilateral research grant mode, so that you can you can have a foreign collaborator and you can submit a bilateral grant project to DST. Sometimes they call Indo-German collaborative project. So only thing what you have to do is if you are an Indian entrepreneur, you have to find a German entrepreneur and you can submit a proposal to Department of Science and Technology when they call Indo-German bilateral projects. You just go to the DST website. There are a lot of opportunities and they announce every monthly basis. Contract research I already told, right? Because there is a challenge involved in that. Suppose if some of you are really interested, there are a lot of tech companies. Okay, they give this kind of contract research to the individual, contract research to the organization, contract research to the academic institutions. And for startup grants, I'm sure you all know these mighty startup initiatives. Okay, they support, and I know some of the people in mighty, and they are really there is a huge starvation of the ideas. Actually, they're starving the ideas. There's not enough ideas. Actually, they can build the startup. Okay, so huge grant is piled up in mighty startup hubs, but the problem is people are not going with innovative ideas. That's a problem. They may not be granting it. So approach this agency if you have a brilliant idea. And another thing is indiasciencetechnology.gov.in. This is also a government of India DST forum. And Kerala government have innovation grant through Kerala Startup Mission. And I'm sure, I think, every week we used to get a lot of messages from Kerala Startup Mission. They are willing to fund the startups of the students. Right? Now, there are a lot of challenges involved to setting up a business. Now, anyway, probably I think I'll wind up soon. So some of the things I already told. So there are few challenges which involved, productization and marketing, customer relation support, business expansion, etc. So these things are few challenging components with respect to any business organization. But believe me, earlier these things were a challenge. Now it is not a challenge through a specific terminology. It's called venture capitalization. What do you mean by venture capitalization? So venture capitalization it is nothing but it is actually a private equity. I think some users have switched on their mic. So can you switch off the mic? A lot of disturbances coming. Shamir Shah. Okay, so the venture capital is a form of a private equity and a type of financing investment. So basically what it does is, there are venture capitals run by, I think it is, yeah. There are venture capitals run by Tata Capital Innovation Fund, Reliance by GeoNext, and there is one popular thing known by Amrita Technology Business Incubation Centers. Okay, so basically what these people does is, you just approach them with your idea. Rest all challenges involved in the business setting up will be taken care by them. You only go with an idea. Funding support will be taken care. Product, suppose if some of the things required a productization, for example, if it is a software product, it is easy because it is only it's a software code. So probably a virtual space might be enough. But there are few things, you are finding, you are manufacturing a device. Then you need a production unit, and then you need a marketing unit, then you need a customer relation and support unit. So that is very important, because customer relation support unit means after productization and selling, you need to provide customer support. If you are not providing customer support for a designated period, you will not be able to sustain in the market. So all these kind of challenging unit, anyway, you all know that it is not an individual show. One man cannot do everything, or 10 people cannot do everything. So these things will be taken care by this kind of venture capital unit, Tata Capital Innovation Fund. So they are, you might be heard about it, like Ratan Tata is acquiring, he supports at least few companies every year. Okay, so you can approach any one of these kind of people if you have a brilliant idea, and they take care of all these challenging tasks. But you should go with a brilliant idea. You should go with a idea which is patentable, which really have a economic value, right? So in a nutshell, basically I wanted to tell is, entrepreneurship opportunities are many. You have many doors, right? So it is up to you which door you wanted to open, right? If you have a brilliant idea, you have many opportunities around, and you open one of the door, probably, that may change your destiny. Thank you. I think I'll stop here now. Yeah, I'm done. If anyone have any specific questions, probably I can answer.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, I'm Anita. I just want to know whether I think I missed some part of your presentation.
Okay.
So I have a doubt whether if you have an idea, whether an initial
Yes.
patenting, that is
Okay.
regarding the idea.
Okay.
Is it the same as provisional patenting?
Yes. Yes. What you can do is, suppose if you have an idea and you feel that your idea is patentable, so you get it with a patent search. You do a reasonable amount of search and find that the idea is patentable. Suppose what will happen is, because I think I have shown this demo, right? So in the beginning, this example, right? This is a brilliant example for that, because your earlier straw was straight. Now you made a cutting here, a small bending, right? And this is patented. So it means if you have an idea, you do a reasonable amount of search and you find that, it is patentable, but your complete engineering of, or the complete design of that particular thing is not completed. Don't wait for the complete design, but you should ensure that this is what I am going to claim. Now, what could be a claim drafted by this particular engineer? He might have drafted, this is actually a value add, claim number 1. This is actually a value add to an earlier product straw. What is his second claim? This straw can be bent without affecting the sucking of the juice from this one. Suppose if you bend it and if the juice is not coming up, then the invention is gone. So he might have ensured that this juice will have the same flow as it is in the straight line position, right? So this is the way he drafted his claims. Now, suppose he is not sure whether he might be putting a some kind of a design there so that flow will not get stopped, right? Suppose if you simply bend a straight straw, flow will be affected. So he has designed a particular thing there. So if this design is not in the beginning, then you can draft your claim and you can file a provisional patent. Then your base level design can be filed there. Then within 1 year, you can come up and give this final specification. That's where you are going to finalize it.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I want to ask you one more question.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Actually, who will own the patent? If you are a student or a faculty and you are in making so university will own the patent?
No, sir. Actually, there are different ways. Suppose, for example, if you are working in an R&D organization like CSIR or DRDO or ISRO or CDAC or something of that kind, then generally what happens is your owner of the patent will be the organization, because you are an employee of that particular organization. Okay. if you are working in a scientific organization. And if you are working for a company and you are inventing something in the expense of that particular company, then owner of that particular patent or the applicant of the patent will be that particular company or organization. But you are labeled as a inventor. It means every patent will have two parts. One is a applicant or a owner and a inventor. Suppose as an individual, you are inventing something and you are filing the patent. So you will become the applicant or you will become the owner, and you will be the inventor also for that particular application. Okay. Generally in the universities, in some cases, for example, in some of the universities, they are very rigid on that, especially some of the private universities. They ensure that the patent should be registered in that university, but the inventor is that particular professor or student who invented it. But what is the good thing about it? The university will take care of the entire filing process. Okay. Now, being an Indian citizen, you make use of a patent filing service of a Kerala Startup Mission or a government of India like DST or Mighty service. Generally, government is not the owner of that. You will be the owner as well as, inventor of that particular patent.
You mean a teacher, professor in Kerala University will be who could patent it, provided the government will not interfere. The individual faculty or student will be the owner of the in Kerala.
Individual, sir. Actually, it is all depends on. Suppose the university will have a research policy. The university have a IQAC kind of body like Internal Quality Assurance Cell and Research and Development Cell. Suppose if they have framed a policy in such a way that if a professor file a patent, it is actually a joint property of the university, then you are legally bound to that. Because when you are taking an employment in that organization, you are actually signing an agreement with the organization by stating that whatever the property you are doing, it is actually a property of that university as well. But some universities don't have these kind of laws or these kind of rules. Then if that is the case, you can even file it in your name, because even if university go and challenge in the court, what will happen is court will ask, you give me your patent law, right? You give your patent, whatever is your IPR policy. But if the university is not in a position to submit an IPR policy in the court, university cannot claim it.
What is you must be knowing about Kerala, how they...
Sir, actually, even I joined in Kannur University almost maybe 1.5 years, 2 years back. So I understand that even we don't have a strong IPR policy in university. That's what my experience.
You explained very well, brought out everything. That's good. I'll contact you. My name is Achyutan. I'll contact you.
Thank you. Sure, sir. Any other? I think if there is not much questions, and probably I think we can wind up.
Yes, sir. Sir, participants, if any questions?
I think there is few questions in the chat box. Let me try to answer it. Let me just go through that 1 second, sir. Okay. Second. Okay, how to approach vendor capital provider like Jio or Tata with an idea? Let's say to develop a specific Android app or draft an idea or draft. Okay, so how to approach that? So I think this what I told, that GeoNet or TBI, right? Amrita TBI, they have a website and they have a contact details and they have dedicated ambassadors. So their ambassadors, basically what they does is they actually go to, they are actually looking for ideas. So if you write a mail to them, one of their person will start talking with you. Then he will take care of you to take into the into that particular thing. See, I'm not insisting you to go to Tata or Geogen Next or Amrita TBA. There are a lot of venture capitals, and there are a lot of venture capital services provided by private people. Okay. No, maybe there may be a foreign person. He has returned back from US or Middle East. He have a lot of money and he wanted to invest. Right? He is also a venture capital, but the problem is he have money, but he don't have a workforce. So probably what he can do is he can actually link with some other marketing company. For example, Unilever is a big company who does productization, marketing, and productization, marketing, and customer support and everything. Unilever or Hindustan Liver or similar kind of things. If you look at Hindustan Liver, have a product from a needle to something of a rocket kind of things. They have product all the ranges. How is it possible? What they do is they create a network of marketing people. They create a network of people, productization people. They create a network of customer support providing people. Okay, so these all kind of things actually held with these kind of venture capital people. That's what I'm telling. So Tata Venture Capital, you just type it in Google, you will get to, you can directly take it to this one. You write a mail, they'll respond. Similar, the same thing with case of GeoNext and even Amrita TV. Of course, Amrita TV I didn't experience so far. I'm not very sure about it, like how it is, how it works. So I think, yeah, that's all. There is no other much questions, I think. Yeah, I'll stop here now. Thank you.
We'll wind up this session, and
Yeah.
thank you for this valuable session conducted on the topic IPR innovations in IT sector. And hope discussion was useful to one and all.
Okay.
Sir, now we'll wind up.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you,
all.
sir. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Bye.